They're coming for them in the night. Families torn apart. Lives shattered in an instant. Donald Trump is back in office and his immigration crackdown has already begun. Thousands are being deported daily, with some countries hit harder than others. Is yours on the list? Stay with me to find out which 20 nations are facing mass deportations right now. This information could save you or someone you love. The immigration landscape in America has dramatically shifted. What we're witnessing now is unprecedented. A surge in deportations that's sending shockwaves through immigrant communities nationwide. The administration has made it clear, if you're not here legally, you're a target. No exceptions, no mercy. Let's reveal the 20 countries facing the most severe deportation rates in America right now. Indian nationals, especially those in the tech industry, are facing a harsh reality. Despite helping to build the future of American innovation, those with expired visas are being forced to leave. The tech industry is worried. These skilled workers have played a huge role in innovation and development. With these strict immigration rules, many Indian families face sudden removals, leaving behind jobs, dreams, and years of hard work in America. Some have children who were born here, American citizens who must either be left behind or taken to a country they've never known. Brazilian immigrants, many of whom work in construction, service industries, and small businesses, are being targeted in raids across major cities. Communities in Boston, Miami, and Newark that once thrived are now living in constant fear. Parents are afraid to send their children to school, worried they might not be there when the kids return home. Many Brazilians came seeking economic opportunity and have built lives here for decades, only to face sudden deportation notices with little time to prepare. Haitian immigrants who fled natural disasters and political instability are now facing forced returns to a country still struggling to recover. Many arrived after the devastating 2010 earthquake, building new lives in America while sending money back to support family members. Now, entire Haitian neighborhoods in places like Miami and New York are being emptied as deportations accelerate. Children who've known only America are being sent to a country facing extreme poverty, gang violence, and limited educational opportunities. Colombian nationals who escaped the drug violence of previous decades are now being rounded up in workplace raids. Many have established businesses, raised families, and contributed to their communities for years. Immigration officials are now reviewing cases that were previously considered low priority, resulting in longtime residents being deported with minimal notice. The fear is so intense that some Colombians are avoiding medical care and keeping their children home from school. Guatemalan immigrants, many of whom work in agriculture and food processing, are being targeted in workplace raids across rural America. Communities that depend on these workers are seeing economic impacts as farms and factories lose their workforce overnight. Children are being separated from parents, creating a crisis in many school districts as they struggle to support traumatized students. Some deportees are being sent back to regions still controlled by gangs they fled from years ago. Honduran nationals who escaped gang violence and extreme poverty are now facing expedited deportation proceedings. Many came as part of migrant caravans years ago, seeking asylum from threats to their lives. Now, even those with pending asylum cases are being detained and processed for removal. Honduran communities in major cities are reporting increased ICE presence, leading many to stay home from work and keep their children out of school. The country they're being returned to continues to have one of the highest murder rates in the world. Chinese students, researchers, and workers are facing increased scrutiny and deportation under new security policies. Those who have overstayed visas or had minor violations are being processed for immediate removal. Tech companies and universities are reporting losses of valuable talent as Chinese nationals with specialized skills are forced to leave. Some have been in America for a decade or more, establishing careers and families that are now being torn apart by these strict enforcement actions. Ecuadorian immigrants who have established businesses and community networks are now being targeted for removal. In cities like New York and Chicago, Ecuadorian neighborhoods that were once vibrant economic centers are seeing businesses close as owners and workers are deported. Families are being separated, with American-born children either left behind with relatives or taken to a country they've never visited. The economic impact extends beyond these communities as sectors like construction and service industries lose experienced workers. Dominican immigrants, many with deep ties to American communities, are facing increased enforcement and deportation. Neighborhoods in New York, New Jersey, and Florida are seeing families torn apart as long-term residents are detained and removed. Some have been here legally for years, but minor paperwork issues or long-forgotten violations are now being used to justify their deportation. Churches and community centers report empty pews and decreased attendance as fear keeps people isolated in their homes. Jamaican nationals who have built lives in America for decades are now facing deportation for even minor legal issues. Communities in cities like New York, Miami, and Hartford are reporting increased raids and detentions. Many Jamaicans have American children and spouses, creating family crises when a parent or partner is suddenly deported. Some being removed have been legal residents for years, but past misdemeanors, some decades old, are being used to justify their deportation under stricter enforcement policies. Filipino healthcare workers who have been essential during the pandemic are now facing scrutiny over their immigration status. Despite nurse shortages across America, Filipino nurses with visa issues are being removed. Many Filipino families have mixed immigration status, with some members being citizens while others face deportation. Communities are reporting increased fear and anxiety, with some avoiding medical care or other public services to stay under the radar of immigration authorities. Vietnamese immigrants who came to America after the Vietnam War, some as refugees, are now facing deportation despite decades of residency. Many have U.S. citizen children and grandchildren and have built businesses in their communities. Some being deported have no living relatives or connections in Vietnam, having left as children. Despite previous agreements protecting certain Vietnamese immigrants, the new policies are applying stricter standards, leading to increased removals of people who have known no other home but America for most of their lives. Mexican nationals are facing the highest absolute numbers of deportations. Communities across America are seeing increased raids at workplaces, homes, and even schools and hospitals. Families that have been in the U.S. for generations are being torn apart as undocumented members are removed. Agricultural regions are reporting labor shortages as workers are detained and deported, leaving crops unharvested. Children born in America are being forced to either separate from parents or move to a country they've never known. Somali refugees who came to the United States for safety are now being sent back to a country still facing conflict and instability. Many escape war, violence, and poverty, hoping for a better life in America, especially in communities like Minneapolis and Columbus. With stricter immigration rules, those without proper documentation or with any legal issues are being processed for removal. Families are being separated, and people who have known no other home for decades are facing a return to a dangerous situation they fled years ago. Salvadoran immigrants are increasingly facing deportation as the U.S. ends temporary protected status that many relied on for legal residency. Communities across America that have significant Salvadoran populations are reporting increased fear and decreased economic activity as people stay home to avoid detection. Gang violence in El Salvador remains a serious threat, with many deportees facing danger upon return. American-born children are being forced to either separate from parents or relocate to a country with one of the highest murder rates in the world. Venezuelans who fled political chaos and economic collapse are at risk of deportation as their temporary protected status is under review. Families who escaped food shortages, violence, and political persecution now face uncertainty about their future in America. Despite the continuing crisis in Venezuela, many are being processed for removal, creating fear in communities across Florida, Texas, and other states with large Venezuelan populations. The humanitarian concerns of sending people back to a country still in crisis are being overshadowed by stricter enforcement priorities. Pakistani immigrants, many who came seeking educational and economic opportunities, are facing increased scrutiny in deportation proceedings. Communities in cities like New York, Chicago, and Houston report that longtime residents are being detained and removed for minor visa violations or paperwork issues. Families are being separated, and businesses that serve these communities are struggling as customers disappear. Some being deported have lived in America for decades and have no current connections in Pakistan. Nigerian immigrants are facing one of the highest rates of deportation, primarily due to expired visas and legal issues affecting many in the community. students who remained after graduation, professionals working in healthcare and technology, and families who have built lives here are all being affected by stricter enforcement. Churches and community organizations report decreased attendance as fear keeps people isolated. Children born in America are facing the trauma of either family separation or relocation to a country they've never known. Despite the ongoing conflict with Russia, Ukrainian nationals with immigration violations are facing deportation. Those who overstayed visas or had asylum claims denied are being processed for removal, regardless of safety concerns about their return. Communities with significant Ukrainian populations are reporting increased fear and uncertainty. Families who thought they had found safety in America are now facing the prospect of return to a war zone or to regions destabilized by the ongoing conflict. Nicaraguan immigrants top our list as they face the highest rate of deportation relative to their population in the U.S. Those who fled political persecution and economic hardship are now being returned despite continuing instability in Nicaragua. Communities in Miami, Houston, and Los Angeles report that longtime residents are being detained and processed for removal. Families are being separated, with American-born children facing either abandonment or relocation to a country experiencing ongoing political repression and economic challenges. These deportations aren't just statistics. They represent real lives, families torn apart, and communities shattered. The economic and social impacts extend far beyond immigrant populations, affecting industries, schools, and neighborhoods across America. If you or someone you know is from one of these countries, staying informed and seeking legal counsel is more critical than ever. Don't wait until it's too late. Share this video to spread awareness and subscribe for more critical updates on immigration policies affecting millions. The situation is evolving daily. What you don't know could change your life forever.